Hello and welcome back to Westferry Times. I'm Emily Carter. Today we're doing a deep dive into, well, a really pivotal moment in history, VE Day. It still resonates so much, doesn't it? And as we come up on the 80th anniversary of Victory in Europe Day, the way we're remembering it seems to be shifting, broadening out. We're looking much more at the truly global effort behind it all. And to help us unpack these really multifaceted stories, we have Dr. Thomas Radcliffe with us. He's a distinguished historian, specializes in 20th century conflicts, and importantly, how we remember them. Welcome.
Thank you, Emily. It's great to be here.
And thanks to all of you for watching Westferry Times. Okay, let's jump right in. Most of us, have a basic idea of VE Day, but to really get the nuances this year, let's start at the beginning. What exactly was VE Day, and why does it still feel so significant?
Right. Well, VE Day, May 8th, 1945, it marks the official formal surrender of Nazi Germany to the Allied forces.
Yeah.
There's just this huge explosion of relief, of celebration, across Europe, in the U.S. too. You picture those crowds, right? Trafalgar Square, Times Square, just this collective exhale after years of, well, devastating war.
A huge sigh of relief.
Exactly. Now, it's crucial to remember the war wasn't fully over globally. Japan hadn't surrendered yet, but in Europe, this was it. And its importance today, I think it lies in remembering the immense sacrifices, the terrible cost of war, but also fundamentally the power of unity against tyranny.
And that unity, as you say, this year, it feels like we're looking at it through a much wider lens. You agree, there's this real emphasis on broader experiences.
Absolutely. There's definitely a conscious effort to move, beyond the sort of traditional Western Allied story. We're seeing much more focus on soldiers from across the British Empire and Commonwealth, the absolute vital roles women played, civilian life on the home front, and also a deeper look at the liberation of the concentration camps. It's about enriching the picture, really, adding layers that maybe weren't always front and center.
Let's dig into that enrichment then. What are some specific examples? Who are these individuals or groups whose stories are sort of coming more into focus now?
Well, there's definitely greater recognition for the huge contribution of soldiers from British India. We're talking over 2.5 million people.
Mm.
And you've got the West African Frontier Force, soldiers from Caribbean regiments. Their bravery is being highlighted more.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the skill of, say, Polish and Czech pilots in the RAF, and then the women munitions workers, and, of course, the incredible code breakers at places like Bletchley Park.
Right, the hidden figures in many ways.
Exactly. These are just some threads, being woven into a much more complete tapestry of the war effort.
It is striking, though, isn't it, that these stories weren't always so prominent. What do you think is driving this shift now? Why the change in focus?
It's a mix of things, I think. Partly it's generational. Descendants are actively looking for recognition for their ancestors.
Mm.
That's natural. But there's also a wider societal shift, wouldn't you say, towards acknowledging historical inequalities, exclusions.
Yeah, a kind of reckoning, maybe?
Sort of. It reflects this growing understanding that history depends on who tells it, right? And there's a real desire now for a more inclusive, more accurate account.
Let's talk specifically about those contributions from colonized nations. I think for many of us, myself included, there might be, well, gaps in our knowledge there. How significant was their involvement?
Oh, absolutely vital. Just look at the numbers. Over 87,000 soldiers from British India alone died during the war.
Wow. 87,000.
Yeah. And then you have troops from Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, many other African nations, serving with incredible bravery, often facing not just the enemy, but, racism within the Allied structures too.
You're right.
And what's really compelling and deeply ironic is they were fighting for freedom, for democracy, ideals they didn't actually possess under colonial rule.
That is a powerful paradox, isn't it? How are commemorations now dealing with that? Are there specific ways this is being highlighted?
Well, museums are doing a lot more. Interactive exhibits, oral histories are becoming more common. The Imperial War Museum in London, for example, they have been expanding their digital stuff, showing letters, photos from Indian and Caribbean soldiers. It makes it very personal.
Brings it home.
Exactly. And we're seeing gradual changes in school curricula, too,
Yeah.
trying to give younger generations a more nuanced picture. It's slow, but it's happening. A more complete record.
So while all that was happening overseas, life back home, the home front, that was its own kind of struggle, wasn't it? What was that like for civilians?
Oh, absolutely. The home front was, well, it was tough. Resilience and hardship side by side. People faced daily rationing, food, clothes, everything. Then The constant threat of bombing raids, the Blitz in Britain, was just terrifying for people.
Constant fear.
And just that pervasive anxiety, worrying about loved ones away fighting. But, communities also pull together incredibly. Victory gardens, sharing shelters, amazing resilience.
A real testament to spirit.
Definitely.
But even within that home front experience, I imagine it wasn't the same for everyone. Class, maybe ethnicity. Did that make a
Oh,
difference?
for sure. That's a really important point. Civilian experience wasn't one single thing. Working class families often lived in denser areas, harder hit by bombs, fewer options to evacuate,
Yeah.
and immigrant communities in cities like London sometimes faced extra prejudice on top of everything else. We need to remember those variations too.
Yeah, understanding those layers adds so much depth.
It really does.
Now, VE Day, it marked the defeat of Nazi Germany, but it also, crucially, coincided with the world starting to truly understand the horrors of the Holocaust. How is that connection acknowledged today?
The connection is, well, it's inseparable, really. You can't talk about VE Day without talking about the liberation of the camps. It's intrinsically linked to that slow, dawning awareness of the sheer scale of the atrocities against Jewish people, against Roma communities.
Right.
So today's commemorations almost always include survivor testimonies, reflections on the millions lost. A commitment to Holocaust remembrance is absolutely central. And there's also, thankfully, a growing effort to make sure Roma voices and experiences are properly recognized within that remembrance, too.
So VE Day isn't just the end of the fighting, it's also the start of grappling with that darkness.
Precisely. The beginning of understanding the true cost of that hatred.
Okay, bringing us right up to today, 2025. The veterans who were actually there for VE Day, they're fewer now, sadly. Many in their late 90s, even over 100. What are they saying? What are the reflections now, 80 years on?
What comes through strongly is this deep sense of pride in what they achieved, what their generation achieved, but it's coupled with this profound understanding of just how fragile peace is. Many veterans really emphasize passing the lessons on, to younger generations. That feels incredibly important to them.
I've seen that at events, younger family members reading speeches for veterans who can't attend. It's very moving.
It is, isn't it? A poignant symbol of that torch being passed. And the themes you hear most now are peace, cooperation, preventing future conflict. That's central.
It's interesting, too, how VE Day is remembered around the world. Does it vary a lot, depending on the country's experience?
Oh, yes, quite diverse. In Russia, for example, Victory Day on May 9th is huge, massive military parades, a major national holiday.
Right, a different date, even.
Exactly. In France, it tends to be more about civic ceremonies, local remembrance. In the U.S., perhaps more focus on family sacrifice, the American contribution. But what's interesting now is this growing global dialogue. Shared films, archives online, stories are crossing borders much more easily.
So a kind of shared yet distinct memory is emerging.
You could say that. It definitely raises questions about how we interpret shared history through our own cultural lenses, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And speaking of shared stories,
Right.
media, its role must be massive in shaping how we understand VE Day today.
Oh, huge. It's immense. You've got these powerful documentaries on streaming services reaching, well, everyone. Schools doing projects using things like TikTok, which is fascinating. Connecting with young people in their space.
Yeah, meeting them where they are.
Exactly. And podcasts like this one, digging into the details, sharing those marginalized stories. There are even things like augmented reality recreations now, trying to offer immersive experiences. Technology is really changing how we connect with the past.
It really is remarkable. Dr. Radcliffe, this has been just incredibly insightful, thank you. A real deep dive into all the layers of VE Day. As we wrap up, what's maybe one key thought you hope people take away as we reflect on this 80th anniversary?
I suppose. Let's make our remembrance truly expansive, inclusive. Let's celebrate the victory, absolutely, but let's make sure we honor all the contributions, every individual, every background, every corner of the world that played a part. Because our understanding, our collective memory, it's just so much richer, so much more meaningful when it embraces that full spectrum of experience.
Wonderfully put. Thank you so much for sharing all your expertise with us today.
It was my genuine pleasure, Emily.
And thank you all for joining us for this important deep dive. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Westferry Times, for more discussions like this. I'm Emily Carter. Stay curious, stay connected, and as always, listen deeply.